right, guys, we are live. We're here in Podhbe, another episode. Today we have a special here with Orana House. We have two special people here with us because I told you many times that Podhbe is just not a podcast. Podhbe as well. We are helping. We are under all the circumstances. We are helping the community in different causes. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but in 25th of November, we have the worldwide day against the violence with women. Is that correct? I'm saying the English.
Against gender-based violence, in
Gender-based
fact. Yeah.
violence. Yes,
So,
so much better and easier. But we are really pleased to make part of this day and interview people that maybe you need some help in somehow. We are located in Perth, and you're gonna show the special services they're gonna do, how you recognize this, how you feel like maybe you see a friend or acquaintance or a colleague who is happening or workforce who is working or having facing this situation. Today is a special day for you guys. So we are leaving here the QR code of Orana House as well. So you can contact it. And then a description of the video, we have all the information you can have and have a flyers, everything that would be. You get this content as well on our website. So 100% and 24/7 you can have a help. Guys, my two guests today, they are here from Australia. Are you from Australia?
more or less.
More or less. Yeah, we are home.
Well, a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
But I am here with Maria and Jasmine. Welcome to Podhbe.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Yeah, you feel like a little bit shy. I don't feel shy. Yes, come on. Okay.
First
so-
time podcasters.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
definitely I should be invite you guys as well in the studio. So I just preparing my studio there in my house, so it'd be great as well. But guys, thank you so much for having me and having the to be here. But as I said, a little bit nervous for this situation because it's kind of a dream they come through when I come part of the society and the community, but it's the people needs the voice and have a beautiful like a project that you guys doing with women and everybody. Um, which I'm really pleased to make a difference in the world. I just wanted to know about a little bit of the Orana House. So can you tell a little bit of the story, Jasmine?
Sure. Look, Orana House began more than 30 years ago, closer to 35 now, actually, as a refuge for women who were seeking support for themselves, for their children when they were experiencing domestic violence. Violence in their home or violence. We call it family domestic violence. It can also be called intimate partner violence or gender-based violence. However you call it, it's essentially, the one person who says they love you and care about you and the place you're supposed to be safest in your own space at home. This is a huge issue in our community. So our refuge has been going, and it's still there in the heart of the city of Bayswater. It sleeps about 25 people every night, women and their children. But from there, it has grown quite a lot as the problem itself has grown in our community. So because we're full at capacity every night, we actually have to turn away more people than we can take in. We decided a few years ago to open this space, which is called the Switch Centre.
Yeah.
Switch stands for Supporting Women in the Community Holistically. Maria came up with that great name.
Maria.
Pretty clever. Good acronym. So supporting women in the community holistically, or SWITCH, means that this is an open space. It's like a very vital community hub where women who are not necessarily seeking refuge, they're still living in their home, either before, during, or after their experience of violence, but they're needing support from us in various forms. They can come here. It's a safe space, free of judgment. They can receive the enormous range of services that we have. This is counselling. This is case management. This is court support. Maria and our team actually accompanies these women through the court system to get FVROs, family violence restraining orders. We have financial counselling. We help them to get all their paperwork in order for Centrelink or, for their banking, to help them to make sure they've got all the documents in order that they need to live safely and securely. We have dedicated child advocates as well to make sure that all of the needs of the children are met throughout this experience. And there's a lot more beyond that as well, including advocacy, aftercare for months and even years, as long as it takes for them to really be in a more safe and secure position. But I suppose the first step when women come here would probably be that safety planning and risk assessment. That's a huge part of it. It's talking to them, understanding where they're at, what are their obstacles, what are the challenges, and what do they need from us. So that's very bespoke. It's tailored for the individual.
That's amazing.
Long answer.
I think the job is amazing. I met one person each week on behalf and introduced you guys. I'm fascinated with the website. I think it's very clear, easy to access. Everything is so explained. How you guys working with the situation. But one thing I think many women, mainly, suffering about the situation, it's about how works the visa process because people are under the visa. I, most of the people are talking. They say, "Ah, now I'm under the visa. How works my visa now?" So is it something that you guys can help with people under visa, for example, student visa or partner visa? Is it something this situation?
We definitely get a lot of queries from people who are here on partner visas. We were actually just discussing earlier that, when someone is here on a spousal visa, there's already a shift in power, which can make someone more vulnerable. So even though we're not experts in migration law, our staff have all been trained with people who are specialists in migration law, but we would probably do referrals to get really custom advice because with the Australian government, each case is so specific and individual, we probably don't want to take the risk of someone making a mistake in their visa application with the wrong advice. So that was where referrals would be.
Yeah. So when we've had women come through that, or people come through that are on a visa, and need help with where they stand, we usually tend to refer and then work alongside a service called Circle Green. And they assist the clients to do all the paperwork and all the legal stuff that comes with the visas and changing that. I think there's a lot of work that goes in behind that. So it's something that service does amazingly. And I think the one thing, there's a lot of I think fear when it comes to when there's a visa involved and your partner tends to tell you, well, you can't go because they'll kick you out of Australia. You'll have to leave.
That's the main thing for everyone.
I'll be keeping my children. I'll be keeping the kids. You'll just have to go. The kids were born in Australia, or there's so many different conversations around it, and it's unfortunately used a lot as a threat to make someone stay in a relationship.
Definitely.
And so because it is used as a threat, I think the biggest thing to have that knowledge around a visa is it's not a reason to stay if you're unsafe or if your children are unsafe. There is services out there that can support you and help you while you go through the process. With regards to, there's a lot of concern as well if you're leaving and you're on a visa, with regards to finances and things like that. There's the Red Cross that do amazing support and can provide funding if you need to escape, and they can provide funding to support you financially as well. So there's different services out there that can provide that support and help. And a service like ours, the outreach service, works alongside them. Yeah. So you get that holistic support. So you're getting support going through the family court server, like the family court process. You get support if you have to go to apply for a violence restraining order. We'll do the referral to Circle Green. We'll contact Red Cross to get you linked in with them. So
to make sure you're getting the most accurate, up-to-date, relevant support from the professionals in each sphere.
sector.
Yeah. So we need to work together in that.
And what about, for example, when I see when you're sites, when you guys reposition people in different homes, for example, I see you guys helping with the rental as well. And then in the moment you have a crisis for rental, like 30, 40 people in the house for getting one rental. How works with this process for people? Because sometimes people is under the relationship, because I say I don't have money, I can't give under myself, I can't have a place because my own money is given from a partner.
Yeah.
So how works with the situation?
It's been very challenging, to be honest. But what we've done, we created what's called the Housing Families Connect, Move, Succeed program. And it's only been running for a short time, but it has had some really beautiful success stories. And the way it works is we've been really out there developing partnerships with the real estate agencies and property management groups who do have a social conscience and who do care. They're not just looking for a bidding war with the highest income, FIFO worker to get into that rental property. They genuinely want to know that these rental properties are going to the person who needs it the most, but also who not only needs the opportunity but will make the most of that opportunity. And that's where we come in with that case management and referral with the clients who we've seen how they live in our refuge for a long time, because actually the program was created because refuge used to be a short term, maybe 3 months was the average time. Since COVID and the rental crisis, it's blown out to about a year women are in refuge. So that's a terrible thing, but it's also meant we've seen these women and their children long term, and we can see, look, these are the ones who actually they're no longer in danger. We've supported them to safety with everything they need. They've just got nowhere to go from refuge. So we put these people forward, and we say, look, we can vouch for them, even if they had no rental history before, because their perpetrator was the one on the lease who controlled all the finances or something. We can then help them with those references, and we can help them put together a really strong application, and we can even give them a bit of support if needed in that initial stage, if they need some help with bond or to access, those funds to get started. And if we have, it's been a really beautiful stepping stone to these women returning to work, returning to education, their kids getting settled back into school. It's life changing. So,
yeah, it's a life changing. It's a new beginning.
Yeah.
It's a light at the end of the tunnel. People need to see that. No, there is hope.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I was saying the questions, and I was thinking about how can you approach people in under the circumstances, because who is inside the relationship doesn't see. But we were discussing this about before. But how I recommend to approach or say, hey, because the problem is you can approach, you can argue with the guy stop or someone stop, but after you come back to your home, everything changed. How do you guys recommend that approach?
I think, and like we were saying before, it's really hard because these days there's so much around stand up and say something, speak out. And I think that there's times where those situations, it's going to arise, and the best part of it is to stand up and speak out and say, stop, But then I also think there's times where we always have to think about the person's safety and the risk that you may be putting them in by approaching a situation. We always speak about the women that are either in the relationship, in the situation, or that have come out of it, that they're warriors, they're survivors, and they know their situation best. So even when we're doing safety planning with women when they come and see us, I learn from them and learn from them about what and how they keep themselves safe, because a lot of things that they do in a relationship to keep themselves safe is very basic things, but people see it as, well, why are you doing that? Why are you not standing up? Why are you not saying, no, I'm not cooking your dinner at 6 o'clock. It's not going to be on the table every single night. I need some time for me. I need some help. Why are you not doing that? But they're doing that because it helps stop the violence from escalating. It helps going through that cycle of violence, and it stops. They can see.
I'm being a good girl.
Yeah. So when we speak to women about their safety and what they're doing, they're able to see what they're actually already doing when they're in this situation to keep themselves safe. So when you see someone or you think that someone might be in a domestic violence situation, I think the biggest thing would be to try and, like, if it's there in front of you, if someone's, treating something badly, you're at a family barbecue or a friend's barbecue and you go up to them and say, hey mate, don't speak to her like that. Yeah. That's not on. The concern afterwards is that they go home, they're behind closed doors, and he goes, you made me look like a fool in front of everyone. How dare you? And it comes back to them and it falls on them. However, if you go up there and just realize that the conversation between them isn't great and you go, hey guys, how's it going? And you de-escalate the situation, you have a conversation, and then that person that's using the violence moves away and the person that's the victim stays there, you can have a conversation and go, are you okay? Do you need help? Would you like to have a coffee or meet up and have a catch up and talk about what's going on? And I think the biggest thing is if you can bring it back to the thought of safety, safety and risk, and always think about the safety. And if you can have some understanding and empathy behind what you're saying to that person, because it might not just be as simple as them walking away from that person, especially if they've come from another country. They have no family, they have no support, they have this one person they're relying on not only for a home but for finances, for support in a certain way. They've built a life here in Australia, but when they leave that, they're going to grieve that, and that's okay. So it's having understanding and empathy, that because it's so easy for people to say, well, why did you just stay? Or why didn't you just leave?
People always ask that question, why doesn't she just leave? Why don't they think, like, who's helping her to leave? How can we help her to leave? Why doesn't she leave? Have a think about it. There's actually some very practical reasons that need some solutions first.
I think it's being able to have a conversation with the person that might be in that situation and say, how can I support you?
Yeah.
And if it's a matter of just checking in on a weekly basis, if it's a matter of putting a safe word in place so that if they go, look, things are really escalating at home and I'm really concerned, but I can't do anything about it. If they can come up with a sentence, so you get a sentence that says, can you order that pizza for me? And you get that sentence, you're aware that they need you to call police.
Yeah, like a code.
So, it's looking at things that you can do to support them and have that understanding and empathy of why they're making those decisions, and not feeling as though what they are doing is not enough, because what they're doing to provide themselves with safety is always enough for them.
Yeah. And coming back to that example of the hypothetical barbecue situation, or if something is happening, I probably just want to reinforce, a lot of people don't do anything because they're scared of saying the wrong thing, right? So truly the wrong thing to say is nothing, but as Maria mentioned, it is important to say something, but maybe choose your timing more carefully, because being what we call an active upstander, someone who stands up against violence, isn't about, hey, you look like a hero at the barbecue because you stood up to that perpetrator. You don't need to make a big scene. You'll make things far worse if you do. You can still be that active person who steps up, but do it discreetly and do it in a way where you're ready to follow through, I suppose, is the core message. Like, don't just say, look, I think something's going on here, and then leave it hanging. Like, how are you going to follow through and check in a few days later? Or, what's the plan once you've identified that problem?
Like, it's a continuous talking conversation, it's light talking, not pushing anybody for the situation.
And it does get hard for family and friends to see it continuing and to see that that it's not changing. But also then it's a conversation about maybe it's not you that needs to provide that support, but it's about letting them know that there's services out there that can provide that support. People that sort of are in that sector and in that field can then help out with that, rather than putting that onto yourself
because it's a long journey, and it's likely to go beyond your capacity. Actually, you're going to need some professional help here. You're not going to be able to fix everything for this person by yourself, and you shouldn't try, because there are services that can do it safely and not get out of your debt.
We can contact like 24/7 the service anytime.
So
Because sometimes this happens in the night time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's dependent
Often.
of the city you are.
Yeah.
In Australia, 5 p.m. done. Everybody's at work.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
like overnight? It's happened this.
So there's the numbers that can be contacted 24/7, which are like the crisis care if it's with regards to accommodation and needs there. Crisis care can assist in helping see if there's refuge accommodation available, if they need to get out and things like that. The refuges themselves that are 24/7 refuges, and Orana is a refuge that is a 24/7 refuge. Unfortunately, it is hard for them to be able to answer calls for people that are in distress or in crisis all the time. So it wouldn't be a number that we could, like, it wouldn't be us that you would contact about. There's like 1-800-RESPECT, and to be able to have a conversation with people. There's the DV helpline as well, that provide counselling and things like that. There's different numbers that we can, and we're happy to provide them, and you can pop them.
Yeah, we'll put them on the screen.
Pop them on the description. But
Absolutely.
the refuge itself, if you were in the refuge itself is a 24/7 service. So the people that are in the refuge are supported 24/7. The switch service, the outreach service, we are Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. However, the email as well, online, there's an email forum that you can use, and as soon as that comes through, if we have someone that's self-referred through that, we'll contact them straight away. As soon as we're in, we aim to contact as quickly as possible.
In this help, like for example, someone needs to rescue or something in this situation, is it a fast rescue or it takes more time? Like how many process?
It's different, and it's case by case. I've had times where the biggest thing, obviously, if you're in an unsafe situation, and you need to call 000.
Yeah.
000 is the be all and end all. That's who you call. Hopefully you would have police arrive, and hopefully they would be able to assist getting you into lead accommodation, which would then move you onto refuge accommodation and take you through that process. We have had times where we've had women attend the police station, and we've met them somewhere, and we've been able to come up with a plan to leave. Or if there's refuge accommodation available, we've been able to advocate to get them into refuge then and there. So it's dependent on the situation, and it's also dependent on what's available for that person to go to, refuge and accommodation wise, because refuge accommodation is so limited as well. It's really hard. So if someone was in a situation where they needed to leave immediately, it would be contacting a service and crisis care to see if there's accommodation for them to go to. However, if it's not a need to leave immediately, but it's to work out a safety plan and work towards leaving and how that looks, and they have the capability to do that, then it's linking in with a service like ourselves where we can work towards that plan.
And that's actually something I think we wanted more than anything to include in this podcast today is, the middle of the night, late at night during the fight. Not only it's very difficult to get accommodation very quickly, it's also the time when a lot of the most violent crimes and the domestic homicides happen. It's the most dangerous time to try to leave. And so I suppose we would urge anyone listening to this podcast to try to find, during the day, in a moment of calm, perhaps the perpetrator is at work or something, that's when it's great to come to somewhere like our switch centre, when you're calm, and you can make a really thorough safety plan with Maria or one of our team to what do I need to get my papers in order to leave safely? What's the best time of day to do this, and where will I go? Because sometimes we will say, oh yeah, we know that there's actually a bed in a refuge coming up in 2 days' time. We're going to check in with you, do a safety plan, keep you safe until then. Here's how to get through the next 2 days, and then we've got this great plan in place that's going to help you to do this safely.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. Is don't wait until the critical point of escalation when the threat of violence, physical violence, is at its most extreme and death.
Yeah, that's it. I think as well, it's knowing that being able to reach out. So if your children attend school, speaking to the school office to see if they're aware of any services, local services. If you're going to the doctors and you know that it's a safe place because they don't come into the office with you, can have a conversation to the doctor about it. If you have young children, you're taking them to the child health nurse. Speaking to these people and reaching out if you don't know where to reach out for that support, or sending us an email and saying, this is where I'm at, can you help me? And, and reaching out to us, and we can support and link in with other services that might be closer to them.
I imagine it's safe to say, by having these important conversations beforehand, if things do eventually go to court, you've got a history, a record, and so that's going to help a lot for you to get the justice that you need and the fair outcome, because you've actually contacted these services and explained your situation, and it's been on the radar. I think that also helps a lot too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jump in the conversation. How works, how if someone wants to help you guys in donation or make part of the team, how works with it?
The best thing I would imagine is if you come through our website, orana.net.au, on your screen now. Sending us a little contact message, that'll come actually straight through to my inbox, which is great. And have a chat about what's in your capacity, what is it that you would like to offer or to give, and having that conversation, because we're very small, we're very local. Every time people donate to us, it's spent here, right here. It doesn't go through a bunch of administrative processes. It's all here in Perth, and it's helping these local families in our community. So financially, obviously, tax-deductible donations is the easiest, because then we can target that exactly where it's needed. We don't have like a big op shop. We don't have a bunch of volunteers, so it's not always easy for us to receive a lot of secondhand items. But we've had local community groups who, they hold a big garage sale, and then they've raised money that way, and then that's been able to come to our centre and help us. So, any kind of community fundraising initiative is incredibly valuable to us. And it also means, if you host something or you organise something with a group, you're also you found a safe way to start that conversation about domestic violence, because, hey, we're doing a fundraising drive for Orana House. Did you know there's a refuge there? The money's going to help all these young families, to live free from domestic violence. Oh, I didn't know about them.
Yeah.
Suddenly you've not only helped raise some money, but you've raised a bit of awareness and maybe subconsciously let a person know about us who needs us.
Yeah, I'm sure, because it's, there's one of the proposals for Podhbe, give a life and give a voice for people who need.
Yeah. Especially because a lot of the people that we help can never speak publicly because, for their own safety, we can't use their photos, we can't use their stories, because they're still trying to live free and safely. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Maria and Jasmine, to come and allow us to record this amazing project. I hope that everybody sees this and go more in contact with you guys. And please contact Jasmine, Maria in Orana House. As you see, they work for 24/7. You can send an email, but the best option for you is suffering right now, 000, contact the police, and then do the paperwork that you do and leave your place safely. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. And
Obrigado.
hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rob.
Bye.